And I think you're right with the dynamic element of it, in terms of you don't know what he's going to do. And there are some negatives to that, but there's also a lot of positives. The unpredictability, a huge hit, an offensive play, a good stick, things like that. And, I mean, we always like to make fun of the older hockey crowd where they're like, oh, we need big, brutes who are tough and can knock guys around. But it became evident over the last couple of years that the Bruins needed that at times.
Bruins Beat is brought to you by PrizePicks and the Gametime app.
And welcome into the Bruins Beat, presented by PrizePicks. Go use that promo code CLNS to get up to $100 off, or $100 cash back on that first deposit. And we're presented by Gametime. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. I'm Evan Marinofsky. That is Conor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing great. How you doing?
You're doing great. You're doing great, and I'm doing great. And I know why you're doing great, because right now, you are a married man. Congratulations. The ring is on. You have earned your ring. I must say, the wedding was spectacular. Very fun. Food was great. Vibes were as high as they could be. It was just a great time. Great people. You had I think it was a cousin of yours who was an absolute party. He brought our table cake. He was the man. Was his name Rob? Was his name Rob?
Yep.
It
Coming
was
in
Rob.
hot, man. Yep. He brings the party wherever he goes.
He was awesome. Shirt was untucked. Came over, chatting with the table. He was great. He was awesome. And it was a great time. Really fun. And so happy to see you and Sarah get married. And it was amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you, sir. It was a blast. Great to have so many family and friends there in attendance to celebrate with us. Right by Fenway, weather cleared up great. Food was awesome. A lot of dancing. Had a lot of Bruins. A lot of the Bruins squad was there. You had Ty Anderson there. We had Scott McLaughlin, EI, and Matt Porter from the Globe, Nicole Yang from the Globe, an honorary Bruins writer. Went along with the 2019 Cup run.
People forget.
A lot of people from Mass Live, my old place of work. So it was great. It's great to obviously celebrate me and Sarah and myself, but to have everyone there celebrate with us, have a great time, was a blast.
The food was great. I like that. It was a great assortment of stuff, and it was. I hadn't been to a wedding prior to that since I was like 6. So it's been a long time.
So you saw the open bar. You're like, I can just waltz in here.
Oh my god! I can just ask for any drink I want. And they even put the Coronas in a glass, which for those who know me,
classy.
Corona is like. I mean, as most people, Corona is like the only beer I drink in the summer. One of the only ones. It's with a lime. Corona with a lime. You can't beat that.
Yes, of course.
But it was very fun. Right next to Fenway. I loved the video of you and Sarah walking to Fenway. There was one guy in it who yelled out like, "Don't do it!"
Yeah, I thought that was like Spoke. I thought that was like Spoke Z or someone else like that. But no, we got a lot of cheers, some booze, which I expected. The typical Boston experience, I think, walking through there. But no, photos will be great. Got some good videos. So it was a memorable day. Couldn't ask for anything better.
Yes, and for those wondering, I do have a video on my phone of Connor dabbing a few times on the dance floor. So, might have to release that at some point. Might have to release that little blackmail. Might have to.
I regret nothing.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I would want that out there. But it was a great time. And yeah, you're a married man now. No Draisaitl news broke. We were waiting for like a Swayman extension. No Bruins news broke during your wedding. So I was,
we were gonna have. I thought we were gonna have like an emergency pod. It was gonna be like me, you, Ty, and Scott, like in like a storage closet with like one little mic, just passing it around. We're all fighting over it. Like I got something to say. Like, right.
This Swayman extension is fantastic.
Yes.
But great times to be had, for sure. And you're about to go on your honeymoon, later today. So we're recording this Monday. So we got to get rolling because you got to pack. You've got to pack, and you've not started packing yet.
I am looking at the clock, and I was like, oh, shit. So, yes.
Less than 12 hours.
But, Evan, I'm happy to talk Bruins hockey with you, as always.
Yes, of course, and I appreciate that. I wanted to spend a lot of today on Nikita Zadorov. I feel like we've spent a lot of time talking about at least Lindholm, the Swayman extension. We've talked at length about the fourth line and how pieces are going to fit. But Zadorov is sort of is a really interesting piece, in that 6 years, 5 million per, as we've talked about that before. 6 years is a long time. 5 million per year is not crazy, but 6 years can be a lot. 6'6", 250 pounds. At the very least, I think he's a strong shutdown defenseman. But then there's also this other side that we've heard him talk about in press conferences. We've heard Don Sweeney talk about this, where there's this potential he has, right? Even at 29 years old, there's still a ceiling, I think, that has not been hit. At least that's what hockey people believe. And that is there's an offensive side to his game too. Now, I don't think he's ever had more than like 21 or 22 points in his career for a season, but he did have a 14-goal year like 2 years ago in Calgary, which is notable. And there have been flashes. There was that end-to-end goal in the playoffs this year. But what can people expect from him? Is it a happy medium? What is he gonna end up being for them?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say the best way to probably describe him in terms of all, like, you can just look at how physical he plays. That's probably the first thing that comes to mind. I would just say dynamic, right? Like, he's a presence out there. He makes things happen. A lot of it's good. Sometimes it can be bad. And I think we said, like, there's going to be times where we're going to be like, what the hell was that? In terms of, like, defending defending like an odd man rush, something like that. Those things happen. But I think how active he is, with the puck on his stick, how mobile he is for a guy at that size. Again, I think the Bruins think that, I don't know how much of it's untapped potential of, like, I don't think this guy's going to come here and be a 40-point guy. Like, that'd be a great development.
That'd be wild.
But if he can be a 20-point player, or, I think Don Sweeney mentioned it, like, I think probably further elevated his stock in the playoffs, because he was probably, like, next to Quinn, he was probably their best overall defenseman, I would probably say, in terms of just how dynamic he was. Had 8 points in 13 games, which, again, like, I don't think you're getting that pace. I don't think you're getting end-to-end goals. But if he gives you, like, 20, 25 points and does a lot of those, again, the little things that people have mentioned that he's really good at in terms of retrieving pucks, breaking the puck out, unlike maybe some other guys who have really good transition numbers where a lot of it's off of, moving well and then making a good first pass. A lot of it for him, it's him just getting the puck and ferrying it out. Like, good luck trying to knock that dude off the puck, when he's at that size. It's kind of a cheat code to have a guy that mobile at that size who can retrieve pucks, kind of just carry it out without really, running into any issues there. So I think you add that with the physical element to what he brings. I just think probably dynamic's the best way to put it. And I think, like, it's fun when you have those kind of players where every time they're on the ice, you're expecting something to happen. Like, there's rarely going to be a game where he doesn't try to make an impact in some regard, whether it's a stretch pass, whether it's, activating off the blue line, whether it's landing a big hit. Like, it's fun to see those kind of players that can have a presence like that, especially from, the physicality department. Like, look at Pat Maroon, I think, in game 1 against the Maple Leafs, where it's like, all right, this guy is, like, making things happen. He's knocking guys into the bench. He's chirping guys. He's shoving guys after the whistle. Like, those guys have a presence to them. And every single game, they bring something out there. And it'd be one thing if Zadorov was just a standard stay-at-home, super physical guy. And I think you'd take that. That's an element you're missing. But the fact that he can do a little bit more than that in terms of moving the puck, contributing when needed offensively, that just, I think, further just elevates his value to this team. So does he have another gear? I don't know if you should go in with that expectation, but if he can give you 25 plus points or something like that with the physicality he brings, looks like a top 4 defenseman in terms of, especially what you saw how he played at the end of this past year at Vancouver.
I was going to say 25, I think, is the target. If you can get to that, you're very happy. And I think you're right with the dynamic element of it, in terms of you don't know what he's going to do. And there are some negatives to that, but there's also a lot of positives. The unpredictability, a huge hit, an offensive play, a good stick, things like that. And, I mean, we always like to make fun of the older hockey crowd where they're like, oh, we need big, brutes who are tough and can knock guys around. But it became evident over the last couple of years that the Bruins needed that at times. Someone that could, or a play style that could kind of impose their will, could scare teams, could kind of do what the Panthers have done. And, will Zadorov be forechecking? He better not be. He better not be freaking forechecking. But at the same, yeah, that would be great. Just immediately, like first shift, dumps it in, right at I forget who the Bruins are playing first, but right at whoever
Panthers.
that poor defenseman is. That's right. Yes, just dumping it into Aaron Ekblad's corner and just going like balls to the wall to put him through the glass. But I think that's an element that they were missing. And I think also in the D zone, clearing the net front, being hard to play against in the corners. Now, obviously, NHL players don't, shy away from, they got to that level for a reason. They don't often shy away from taking the puck to the net. But you see a guy like that in the way who's defending you or defending that zone, and it's like, might pass it off there. Oh, might, chip it in the corner, might just shoot a low danger shot, things like that have a huge impact on the game because you're preventing plays before they happen. And I think that's another element to his game that will bring a lot to this team and will be good come the postseason. Because I think that's another big area where, like, the biggest thing against the Panthers, I thought last year, was the Bruins could not score. Yeah, that was the biggest thing to me. But a close second, and something that was a problem the year before, was they did get pushed around a little bit by the Panthers, and the Panthers were able to push you around and score goals, whereas it felt at times like it was one or the other for the Bruins. So I want to get to what his impact will be in the postseason. But first, quick words from our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. With the finals over, the hoop action doesn't stop on PrizePicks. Women's basketball is heating up. Stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves alongside greats like Brianna Stewart and AJ Wilson. You can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. And there's also the MLB. The Red Sox are battling for a playoff spot, and PrizePicks makes the action even more fun. How about that Jarren Duran, Rafi Devers? Tyler O'Neill looks like the real deal too. And I was a big PrizePicks fan during the Celtics run to the NBA Finals, and not to brag, but I was a winner. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. So in the postseason, feels like a spot where Zadorov could thrive. He obviously did this past year for Vancouver. That Vancouver team probably could have went further had Demko been healthy and in the net. But I do think that Zadorov brings an element, all the things we kind of just mentioned to, why he could be a guy that's a force against the Maple Leafs, the Panthers, the Lightning, and can hopefully make them advance past that second round.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many times do you see it? And we've mentioned this, I think, every single June once the Stanley Cup is handed out. When we look at the teams that make it very far in the playoffs, it's a lot of times it's speed and skill up front now, with the occasional, Pat Maroon or someone like that, then a whole lot of heft on the blue line. And again, it's not that you need everyone who's going to smash your face into the glass, but just having those guys that when the ice shrinks, having guys that can block shots, clear guys out of grade A ice, be that kind of physical deterrent to get guys away from high danger scoring areas. The value is just, I think, it ratcheted up in terms of what those guys, just their presence alone. We're not even looking at like how good they are at the stick or anything like that. But I just, you look at what Zadorov brings, and he said it's just a missing element this team needed. I don't think you're expecting Zadorov to go out there and, punch Matthew Tkachuk's face in every single, like, I don't think that's yeah. I don't think that's really a winning formula, but again, it's kind of the same thing as like the transition game and some of the maybe underrated parts of his offensive game. Yes, you look at the hits and guys obliterating players and knock them into next week, but just his frame and his presence out there, I think, can steer enough guys away, or his ability to muscle guys out of high danger areas, make life easier for Jeremy Swayman. Those are things that maybe you don't notice as much as the guy launching someone on the ice, but it can make a world of a difference when the margins are so slim once you get to the playoffs.
Zadorov, I feel like, I don't know, Connor, I don't know if you experienced this as a kid. but I know I did. Before like a youth hockey game, I'd watch like Scott Stevens hitting highlights, and this would be before like a squirts game where you can't even hit. But I'd be like, yeah, like, I'm gonna put
It's
someone to the
like,
glass tonight.
and
Like,
it's like Let the Bodies Hit the Floor is playing,
yes,
or it's like Till I Collapse by Eminem.
yes. Oh my God, Till I Collapse is a classic. Here Comes the Boom was a big
Yes.
one. Like I'd watch like rugby highlights, and like my friends and I like, would hang out, watch, like yeah, before we go play like mini hockey. But I feel like
I'd watch Rocket Power highlights. That's how I would get hyped up.
yes, there you go. But I feel like Zadorov is a good highlight for like the kids of today to watch. Like, oh, here's this 6'6" Russian guy with a scar on his face who's going to absolutely just demolish the other team. But again, we talk about that, but I can't say it enough. They feel there's an offensive side there. They feel that there is a better puck movement side there. He's shown at times he can do that. So I don't think it's all just going to be him squishing guys like mosquitoes against, the wall. I think there's also going to be a puck moving element too. We recorded so many episodes last week that I don't remember which episode we said what I'm about to say on. So I think it's a future episode. Yeah, it is. It's that already dropped, the projected lineup one.
You're like Doctor Strange. I have no idea when these episodes are going to drop. Couldn't tell you.
Well, we did. So for those who don't know, and I might have mentioned this on a previous podcast, forgive me if I have, we recorded a bunch that are like evergreen, that will always be relevant, that are actually really interesting. Top Sweeney free agent signings, draft picks, worst signings, all that stuff. You guys will love it. But we did a projected lineup one, and I think that was Poke the Bear last week, I think. And we debated, because I said put Zadorov with Carlo, and you said put Zadorov with McAvoy. And, I think the way his play style, I think it works with both. I think that we'll see him with both in that top four. And I think that that's a good thing. And I think that the puck moving element, even if he is with a guy like Carlo obviously is not, exactly Charlie McAvoy moving the puck or Torrey Krug moving the puck, but, can still do it. Zadorov brings that element to that pairing if they decide to put them together. But I want to get to, and I had an interesting thought. I have a little like big picture free agency thought I want to get to in a second. But first, quick words from our friends over at Game. The Stanley Cup final is over, and what a thriller it was. The Celtics are NBA champions. With hockey and basketball playoffs over, attention turns to the MLB. And is there a better activity to do during the summer than hitting the ballparks? Nothing beats a summer night at Fenway Park. A Fenway Frank, an ice cold beverage, and the crack of the bat. It's a nice change of pace from the heart-pounding intensity of the NHL and NBA playoffs. Just pure relaxation, good weather, and great vibes. I feel like every year I make a slew of fond memories at Fenway. For me, last year it was in Chicago watching the Red Sox take down the Cubs at historic Wrigley Field. Gotta say, Cubs fans, very nice people. Want to go to a game this summer? Go check out Gametime, the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. That's right, they go down. I love how easy to navigate the app is. The flash deals are awesome if you want to go to a game last minute. It's the perfect place. Save up to 60% off buying last minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. Not to mention the views from all seats in the venue. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, back to the show. So it's interesting with free agency, the two signings the Bruins had that were, big were Lindholm and Zadorov. And clearly the biggest free agent, Lindholm was the biggest free agent signing of Don Sweeney's time as GM. And it's interesting because you think back to the offseason of 2006 when the Bruins went out and signed Zdeno Chara and Mark Savard, and everyone kind of compares the Lindholm thing to Savard, but we often kind of more compare Lindholm's game to Bergeron's, and I don't know if the Bruins did this by design. I doubt that they did, but they sort of got, Bergeron and Chara were pillars of those really good teams from the late 2000s through the 2010s. And, it sort of seems like they're almost getting like lesser versions. Like obviously Lindholm is not Bergeron, Zadorov is not Chara, but similar-ish in styles and stuff. I don't think they're not gonna have the same impact. No, I'm not saying that, but I wonder if it was smart to kind of get comparable players to those guys. Those were two core pieces, both captains during that time. I don't know. I wonder if it was smart to kind of go that direction, to go with those prototypes of getting similar kinds of players, big, left shot defenseman who could, two-way guy, and a centerman like Lindholm, and who can play both ends of the ice, can also produce offensively. I don't know. I found that parallel kind of interesting. If that's, maybe they're going that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the element of what they both bring to this team. Again, as you said, they're not Bergeron and Chara, but they move the needle, right? It's a top 4 defenseman who's arguably the most physical, imposing player in the league right now. Probably, you make the case, and probably missing a few other guys, but he's right up there. And then a guy like Elias Lindholm, who again, like, we can have the discourse over how much points he's going to have, or is he a 2C really? But he's the best center you have right now. He's, held court as one of the better defensive centermen in the league for a couple of years now. And again, it helps you out. It puts more. And again, I think where both those guys and why the Bruins identify them is, one, they fit immediate needs. You needed a centerman, you needed a defenseman. They have elements of how they do it. Like the Bruins, they'd take any potential top 6 centerman, but like clearly what Elias Lindholm brings you in terms of his defensive game is higher than what you would have got if you opted for Chandler Stevenson or Sean Monahan, right? How they are good at their game is, I think, why the Bruins prioritize them over everyone else. You could have signed a cheaper, cost-affordable guy like Alec Martinez, or you could have signed maybe a guy that's more offensive-oriented. I don't really know why you would, but like maybe the Bruins pivoted from like the Jacob Chikrin discourse or something like that, right? Which, again, would you rather have like a Chikrin? Would you rather have a Zadorov in terms of what you needed?
I agree.
I think you look at what those guys provide, Zadorov and Lindholm. It addresses, areas this team needed to shore up, but also I think just puts more guys into proper places to thrive. Like Zadorov isn't cutting into Mason Lorai's power play reps, right?
No.
A guy like Elias Lindholm can slot in, and now you got Zaka probably on the wing. You can put Coyle down to 2C, and you get more leeway there. Guys get better matchups. I just think you look at just both the way both those guys play and just the position of need that they address. It was kind of a no-brainer, and it's good, I think, for the Bruins. Yes, you can make the case of how much a guy like Lindholm's worth, whether you should have, whether 6 years is smart for a guy at that size like Zadorov. But for right now, I think good on the Bruins for identifying 2 of the most intriguing guys on the market and going out and get them, because it makes the team a lot better than what they were in June before free agency started.
And I think it's interesting, you look at Bergeron's impact on the ice, defensive center, the best two-way forward ever, and like all that stuff, and sort of paved the way for them needing a guy like that. They never really, obviously, replaced him. He's only been gone a year, but it's hard to replace a guy like that. But the style that he plays, Lindholm fits. Lindholm fits that style. And I think you look at, ever since Chara left, you're not going to find a 6'9", offensively gifted defenseman. Zadorov fits this similar-ish style. Again, I'm not comparing them. I'm not saying that they're as good as or going to be better, but that kind of same route, that same, path taken, and they sort of Bergeron and Chara paved the way. And I don't think the Bruins went out and signed those guys because, they're going to be the Bergeron and Chara replacements. But I think Bergeron and Chara molded this team a certain way, and these guys fit that mold. That's sort of my point. It's not that Sweeney was like, Lindholm's going to be Bergeron and Zadorov's going to be Chara. Considering Zadorov's first presser, he was like, please don't ever call me Big.
He's the next Chara, baby.
Yeah, he's Chara 2.0. He's even better. But yeah, just thought that was an interesting little thought I had, an epiphany I had. It was at your wedding while you giving vows. I was like, this vision came to me. It was quite stunning.
Yes.
And by the way, during your vows, I loved, I told you this, my girlfriend, who's never met you or Sarah, but likes you guys very much, had a great time at the wedding, was crying during your vows. So you clearly did. It goes to show when the vows, with people writing the vows are writers, tends to hit home a little bit. hit home
Well,
a
that's the
little
thing.
bit.
You look at like all like the sample ones people have because people like are either want to do like the standard ones or they're looking for inspiration. I'm like, well, if I don't write my own, I'm gonna look like a dipshit considering the profession that Bossar and I have. So
I was
worked
gonna
out great.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, no, they were great. And, again, it was just such a phenomenal event. But yeah, that's this week's Bruins beat. You're going on a honeymoon for quite a while. So I'm not going to ask you what to look forward to because I want you to look forward to just relaxing, having fun, traveling the world. And I'm sure we'll be in touch as you go on your endeavor to where is
There'll
it
be
again? Like Tanzania, was it the Maldives?
the Maldives. Yep. So I'll have a couple of
Sure.
back at it tweets. You'll follow me around. It's like Common San Diego. So
That'll be great. I'm
yes.
excited. But anyway, Connor, thank you. Go have fun. Go pack. And I'm Evan Marinofsky, presented by Prize Picks and Game Time. You Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.